Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's special council meeting, the 23rd of June 2026. To note, I'd like to advise that an audio-visual recording is being made of this meeting. I'd also remind everyone present to be respectful and considerate towards others attending the meeting. Language or behaviour that could be perceived as offensive, defamatory, or threatening to any person attending the meeting or to those listening to the recording will not be tolerated. Item 1, I'd like to begin by paying respect to traditional and original owners of this land, the Murrurumbira people, to pay respect to those that have passed before us and to acknowledge today's Tasmanian Aboriginal community who are custodians of this land. We have a list there, item 2, of those in attendance. Councillor Campbell is not currently here. I don't know if she's going to join us later. Anyone else is here? Do we have any declarations of interest for tonight's meeting? No. On to item 5, which is governance, which is the adoption, 5.1, the adoption of the annual plan 2026-2027. Recommendation that in accordance with section 71 of the Local Government Act 1993, Council resolves to adopt the annual plan for the 2026-2027 financial year. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Tronius and Councillor Reid to second. I like the annual plan. There's lots of pictures. It's plain, English, nicely laid out. Congratulations and thanks to those that have put it together. Nice and concise. Councillor Tronius, would you like to open the floor?
No, I just, there was something that I saw on page 13, the finalisation of the Southern Beaches Structure Plan. Can I ask, I don't know whether it's appropriate to ask now, can I ask what we're going to do with it? Sorry, but because a lot of these things just sit on a shelf and aren't looked at again. I just think it's...
Well, through the mayor, I mean, it's been sought after for a long time, and given that the long overdue review of the Southern Tas Regional Land Use Strategy is still happening, that it's going to be a very relevant document to feed into that process, and also for our own purposes, for all manner of considerations for Southern Beaches, from land use to what we invest in by way of upgrades to infrastructure, and just how we ensure that whole area, it's a large area with a large population, how it functions better into the future. So it's, yeah,
so we will take note of it and listen to what the community want down there.
Yeah, it's a matter for the council and staff. So it's probably forecast at this stage to be finished at the end of the calendar year. It's completely finished in the calendar year.
Thank you.
Councillor Reid, did you have anything?
Only to reiterate, thanks for the work that goes into pulling it all together and navigating all of the possibilities to settle on something that, as you said, is comprehensive but practical at the same time. And some of the adjustments where having been involved in setting the strategic plan back in 2018 and now seeing that carry through the annual plans each year, it's terrific to see that progress as well.
Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. Through the Mayor, I'd like to acknowledge the effort that goes into formulating the annual plan, and I'd like to give my thanks to the various teams for their contributions. The collaboration between Sorell Council and Southern Beaches Landcare Coast Care is a shining example of a partnership which is making headway with the management of Blue Lagoon. The comms and engagement team should be commended for their efforts in providing opportunities for community and then giving back to community around issues affecting community. For example, the Park Beach Cafe Precinct and the Ferry Hall, to name just two. I'm delighted at to see a possible lift-off in the Red Ochre Access Project. I have an historical connection of some 6+ years, so to see a 2026-27 financial commitment to getting stuff done in this space is very pleasing. I'm disappointed there is no mention of the critically endangered red handfish. This species is only found in the Southern Beaches area. Continued support and improvement in the red handfish habitat is essential to the preservation of this species and needs to be acknowledged in the annual plan, in my view. The planning and finance teams are responsible for guiding councillors through these complex and challenging areas of local government. They provide us with their expertise in transparent, informative manner, which enables us to deliberate in an informed way, and I thank them for their assistance in these matters. And obviously guided by Jess and Robert, we are eternally grateful for their leadership in that space. So thank you.
Anything more? Councillor Reynolds?
Thank you, Mayor. Just on page 8, objective 1.1, support the timely delivery of the final southeast traffic solution. What time frame is timely?
Through the Mayor, it's a moot point, Councillor Reynolds. I'm trying to extract out of DSG an update on the delivery of the two projects. They've certainly progressed the environmental approvals required for the Midway Point causeway, so from the golf club out. That's a lot further progressed than Sorell causeway project, but I only met with the Dep Secretary last week and waiting to get that, so as soon as I've got it, I'll provide it. They're still committed, still funded, but that
Still committed.
federal environmental approval process is a challenge.
And could I also ask, the last couple of annual plans we've had here around bringing a second school into Sorell, I'm sure it's thinking similar again. Have we had 1.7 continue to support improvements in local education infrastructure? Advocating, have we got any further with that? Because I know there was talks of a second school.
Yeah, through the Mayor. So Catholic Archdiocese have bought the property in Sorell East, a large property, and they're one of the 4 owners who are currently working through the funding arrangements for Sorell East. So this is the first home buyer program. So the federal state funding to bring the trunk infrastructure to the other side of the bypass there. So as a collective, we're working out the funding arrangements, who will be engaged to do the works, and then the master planning required for the 4 sites, plus all the infrastructure servicing as well. So we've just released the tender for that body of work. So it's probably a 2-year process to land all of that before works would start over there, and then as to how soon they will be building the school there will be sometime after that. So yeah, the land secured, processes commenced. I just couldn't give you clear timing. And the other school has shown interest in the area being Christian Schools Tasmania. I hope I've got that right. They are progressing our interest in the site to at least get to kindergarten to grade 6. But that's just waiting for things to progress with that.
Exciting times ahead. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Reid.
One last question. Just clarification in terms of the way some of the objectives are put put together that are at perhaps a more strategic level than in previous years. One example being an objective for this financial year, which was to do with heritage assessments or the heritage study, which isn't named specifically, but presumably would be part of land use planning more broadly in the future.
Through there.
I'm not aware of any progress on the objective from this year, so I was just curious to see how it flowed through.
So through there, that I know between the two work group managers being Shane and Stacey, they're trying to do it in a way that isn't too sort of time and resource intensive, noting that obviously we've got the Historical Society who provide a pretty big resource in the research sense. But that prior docket we've had, I can't think how old it is now, which is multiple volumes of very, very detailed site assessments. Yeah, the review process of that's pretty involved, and we're trying to partner with the Historical Society to help us with that because it's a massive project. But they're certainly aware of it and the interest in it, just in terms of have we allocated a particular resource or a particular budget provision this financial year to do it? We haven't, simply because we're just working out what we can actually achieve in delivering a whole range of matters across the 6 work groups we've got.
Mm-hmm. And from my understanding, the next step is in the land use planning space in terms of deciding what if anything needs to be adjusted. Yeah, so.
Yeah, through me. Yeah. You really need to make it, if it's not listed at the state level or currently in the local provision schedule, the planning scheme,
yeah,
then it needs to get into one or the other to have any statutory effect. So,
yes.
I couldn't tell you, Councillor Reid, how hard the threshold is or not, or isn't, to get to the state, get a state listing as opposed to what you need to satisfy the local provision schedule. Shane has well and truly crossed it more than I am.
Thank you. And with all of the Sorell East and all of the other activity happening, we're at a point where we're having having a clear picture on that is part of that infrastructure, the cultural infrastructure as well, just as much as roads and water and other things are. So.
Yeah, through the mayor, that's part of the tender that Shane prepared, the sort of cultural landscapes and the desires and sensitivities around that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything further? No. All those in favour of the recommendation that in accordance with section 71 of the Local Government Act 1993, Council resolved to adopt the annual plan for 26-2027 financial year. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. So, item 5.2, the Municipal Emergency Management Committee. The recommendation that Council resolves to endorse the nomination of the following positions for the appointment by the Minister for Police, Fire and Emergency Management to the roles of Municipal Coordinator, Oliver Strickland, Development Officer, Risk and Strategy, and Deputy Municipal Coordinator, Shane Wells, Planning Manager of Planning. Oh, excuse me, can I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Larkins and Councillor Reid. I believe this is as a result of staff changes. We play a pivotal, Sorell Council plays a pivotal role in the emergency management plan, as we are the regional centre and right next door to the emergency hub where the coordination would happen if we don't want, but if we were to have the emergency in the southeast. Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Mayor. The heart of the southeast, some might say. I support the recommendation.
Councillor Reid?
Thank you. Yes, I support the recommendation. Just one point of clarification. The recommendation names particular officers, but is it the role or the person?
It's through the mayor, it's the person.
It's the person.
Anything further in this recommendation? No, in which case can I put this recommendation to the vote? The recommendation is there before you. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you very much. Moving on to finance. Item 6.1, 2026-2027 Financial Management Strategy, Operating and Capital Budgets. The recommendation that Council resolve pursuant of Section 70 and Section 82 of the Local Government Act 1993 to accept and adopt the 2026-2027 Financial Management Strategy, Operating and Capital Budget Estimates. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Reid and seconder. Councillor Nichols. Councillor Reid, would you like to open?
Thank you. Much like the annual plan, this is the result of the objectives set by the annual plan and the risk framework, and a continuation of Council's responsible financial stewardship and asset management that's been established and maintained over 10 plus years now, which stands us in good stead. And I'm mindful of the audit panels. We had an audit panel meeting last week, and we're not surprised to hear their endorsement of Council's approach. We're fortunate to have a very well credentialed audit panel, and as we know through our own experience as elected members, we're very well supported by the meticulous work of our financial management, asset management, and other staff, as well as obviously our senior executives. So once we get to this point, we have a lot of confidence in what's in front of us, and that's a very fortunate position to be in. And later on, we have the financial management strategy, which explains the principles that are applied in making those choices. So we have a number of carryovers. I suppose if there's a question at all, it's just in terms of we've had a number of carryovers from this year to the next year. Are we what's the likelihood of that being becoming sort of a norm, or is this a transition year where we'll do some catch up, so to speak, and have less carryovers in the future?
Yeah, through the mayor. Frustratingly for me, it has been the norm, and we're hoping that this year coming up will change that. We've had to adjust how we're resourcing that aspect of capital works delivery. So we've entered into arrangements with some external resourcing for the next 2 years, and as I've said through our workshops, the proof will be in the pudding, but certainly the discussions through the development of the operating and capital budgets with staff has been very much set in reality. So there's been a fair bit of arm wrestling at times as to what is and isn't achievable. I'm confident this is more than achievable, but now the ball sits with myself and others to deliver it. So it's unhelpful for a number of reasons why having carried forward capital projects, but that is what we hope.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I hope.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Nichols, would you like?
Just writing something.
I'd just like to endorse the comments of Councillor Reid and acknowledge the resilience and adaptability of the finance team to keep Sorell Council in a solid financial state. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Larkins.
Thank you, Mayor. Potentially a question for Scott or General Manager. So, the Taswater dividend decrease, do we anticipate that we may start to see that continue to decrease or potentially even disappear into the future? Is that an anticipation?
Through the Mayor, very good question. There's the meeting, Taswater meeting on Thursday, where they'll be formally deliberating their corporate plan, which has been proposing the decrease in dividends. I think as to next year, whether it's maintained or does decrease as they've proposed, that we'll find that out in a couple of days' time. Scott and I have certainly had the view that we'll model the reduced dividends they're proposing, which is why we had to change the rate strategy at the last second. That's in last week. But I mean, the councils around the state have varying views on whether they should be receiving dividends or not. Most strongly think they should. Personally, I don't think councils should. And it's, yeah, but I mean, the likelihood of councils as the majority owners agreeing to that, given the benefit of giving dividends. Certainly some councils, they're fairly large shareholders, if you like, so it's quite a lot of operating revenue they get. But at this stage, it remains to be seen Thursday what happens for the next financial year, and beyond that, I think we're foolish to think they're going to increase.
Any further questions?
Second, if I may. Thank you. I also note that the contributions from developers for assets is down 681,000. Is that just an anticipation of less development, or just a reset of expectation of around what may be considered normal, and then whether or not we have some increase on that?
Whereabouts through the Mayor?
Page 21. Apologies, page 21. Towards the bottom in cost centres. 2205 developer contribution to assets. I expect it's maybe this year we've maybe seen some increase, and this is returning to the baseline.
No, this is
just understanding is that we anticipate less activity.
No,
yeah.
This is hard through. Man, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott. This is basically donated assets, so
Right.
this is non-cash, but
Sorry.
it adds to our balance sheet. So it's hard to predict what's going to get completed. It's generally subdivisions. It's hard to predict what's actually going to be completed and transferred to council in the financial year. So we try and analyse as best we can, but it's all a bit.
Depends who pulls the trigger.
Yeah, it's hard to accurately predict.
Sure.
Anything further, Scott? That's a view.
No, I'd just say that it's a conservative approach.
Yeah.
Overall.
We had 2 or 3 years ago. It was millions. What was that?
I can't
6
recall,
million or
but
something. So
yeah, it's pretty high.
So it's certainly the last 5 years is a lot higher than it had been historically, but because it's a non-cash aspect, it certainly has a bearing on the value of our balance sheet. It has a bearing on depreciation, which we have to fund through operating revenue, but we're sort of not really driving the amount or when it's going to happen.
Supplementary with Sorell East in sight, is that we just not anticipating a large, thinking of that we've had some larger developments and that Sorell East may provide us with something like that similar, just not anticipating that as it currently stands.
Yeah, through the mess. So that if Sorell East, which we presume is going to come online,
Yep.
that will carry with it millions of dollars worth of assets that will become councils. So we'll have to fund the depreciation of those assets, but associated with that will be growth, residential and education growth out there as well. So we forecast that we're getting rates to offset the depreciation costs of taking those assets. But there's other situations where, as a diverting slightly, but case in point is the old, still DSG's road, which is from the traffic lights out to the new bypass roundabout. If council will know, we've expressed an interest to take on that asset, subject to the bridge being replaced. So they will come onto our balance sheet. I can't tell you the value, but they'll certainly have an impact because they'll be our asset and we'll be depreciating. And there's no real There's no real direct connection to it facilitating land is going to be developed to provide rates, whereas Sorell is different, but it's just a reflection of in council wanting to have a bit more control over some of those key assets in and out of town and make some improvements to it over time. But that's neither that situation nor Sorell East has been at this point factored into the long-term financial plan.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the finance manager or CEO?
Can I just point out something as an error I made that I would just be happy if I corrected it in front of everyone. But in the financial management strategy, on page 16 of the financial management strategy, there's a graph.
Page
53 is page 16.
Yep, the graph headed cash.
No, it's not on that. I'll find that for you.
Total cash?
Yeah, total cash.
That's on page 52.
52. The graph key refers to an amount of 4 million, and so does the description. See target cash for at least 4 million and target 4 million. It actually should be 7 million, and you can see the orange line is going through at $7 million on the graph. That was just a typo. I'm trying to fix the last minute amendment.
And through the mayor for council's benefit, that was post the order panel meeting on Friday, so the graph is right, it's the description needs to catch up to it.
If I may, now that we're looking at the graphs, on that same page, the one below, where it shows the sustainability ratio and the gap up to below the target for 26 and 27, and then from 28 on it's at or above the target. What does that gap actually mean in practical terms? So it's asset renewal below 100%.
It's through Mayor. It's principally reflects the sort of cyclical nature of asset renewal. So obviously, the accounting treatment is a straight line depreciation approach generally, but a lot of our asset classes it's condition based. So not every year you're necessarily having to spend the same amount. So it's sort of reflective of that largely. Excuse me. Because we won't be renewing assets for the sake of it. They've got to be due for renewal, and sometimes that's sort of condition based. So the asset life cycle differs from the straight line depreciation.
So
It's the constant arm wrestle between accountants and asset engineers. I won't say who should win.
okay, thanks for that.
Anything further? Okay, we'll put this recommendation to the vote. Recommendation to the the vote with the amended changes on figure in the key on page 52 for the total cash. So the recommendation includes those. We're all happy with that change. So the recommendation that Council resolve pursuant to Section 70 and Section 82 of the Local Government Act 1993 to accept and adopt the 2026-2027 Financial Management Strategy, Operating and Capital Budget Estimates. All those in favour, please show hands. Unanimous, thank you very much. Moving on to page 67, 6.2, the 2026-2027 Rates and Charges Resolution. The recommendation. Oh, do you want to, before we get to the recommendation, there is an amendment.
So it seems to me, so we've advised councillors that just we discovered that's the last minute when preparing the resolution that there's been an error in some of the figures that was in the agenda that was put to the public and distributed to council. So it's since been updated. So the version you can see now and what's on the website has been changed to the correct.
I've also got a paper copy of.
Oh, he wasn't. Yeah, yeah. So basically, just to explain for the council, the public, we between Sorell and Brighton, we did modelling together, utilising what was Brighton's software, and we were originally proposing a rate increase, general rate increase of 3.55%, and then with that late advice from Taswater that the dividends would be reduced, we had to do some additional modelling, and then we settled on 3.9%. Just in the communication between us and Brighton, just discovered that some of the variable rates in the resolution hadn't been adjusted back to the 3.9%. I was sitting a bit higher, so it's just to correct the calculation so we do meet that 3.9% rate increase. So some of the variable rate charges have changed, but the 3.9% is still the target.
Sorry, I'm looking at the document which
Page
is
68. Page 68.
no, this you want
That's the amended page.
this one.
Yeah. So that's what is up on the.
Yes, so the rate of 3.474.
Yes.
That's the amended.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Right, then. I'll present the recommendation that in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act 1993.
Oh, you need to move in a second, sorry.
I haven't presented the recommendation. Or do you need to move for a second for the amendment?
No, it's the amendment. But that, I was just saying, I was pointing out that as you raised, the recommendation you're looking at, the recommendation in front of you, what's on the website now has already been adjusted. So what you're moving and seconding would be the corrected. Sorry. I'll move to getting rid of a second for the.
I haven't read it yet.
No, I was jumping the gun.
A recommendation that in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act 1993 and the Fire Services Act 1979, Council adopt the following 2026-2027 rates and charges resolution for the rateable land within the Council's municipal area for the period of 1st of July 2026 to 30th of June 2027. Can I have a move, please? Councillor Reid. Can I have a second, please? Deputy Mayor Larkins. Councillor Reid, would you like to open?
Thank you, Mayor. Simply to say that the rates and charges are a result of the strategies and choices made that we've just approved in terms of the responsible stewardship and responsible financial management of the municipality and the assets and resources that we have, and the financial management strategy of setting the rates as low as possible, effectively, as low as practically possible, in the categories that we have adhered to for the last few years after a restructure of the rates, and I can't remember what year that was, but that importantly has simplified it and made the rate structure much more workable. As we've said, there is a very considerable amount of work that goes on to achieve this result, and I commend the motion to you.
Thank you. I have just a bit of a question for myself, still understanding how rates and charges come together. With the continued cost of living and cost of operating pressures being applied, and the value of general last year, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the value of properties against AAV being potentially increased or maybe in some cases decreased. There seemed to be quite an impactful effect on agricultural and business zoned properties, with the increased pressures put on farmers and agribusiness and business at the moment, and the rate increase that we publicly use as being an average, that 3.9 being an average across. What is the percentage increase for primary producers and businesses by comparison to the other rate categories? That's a bit of a technical question, I do apologise.
Through the post the rate restructure, primary production, residential, a range of land rating land types are all charged the same rate. So there's the fixed charge and there's a variable rate based on the AAV. We had in the restructure going from 26 differential rates to a lot less. We had some very extreme outliers, which was principally commercial, industrial, and strangely enough, education and childcare. So we had to manage those through some differential rates. So you see in the rate resolution there's 3 variable rates as well. It deals with those, but otherwise all other properties are charged the same into the dollar. So in terms of how individual properties, how they get charged, or what the increase or decrease may be each year, whilst the rating model sets up a total increase from one year to the next, being in this case 3.9%, there may well be variations to that at the individual property level based on the value of that property, and from one year to the next if that property value goes up or down or stays the same. So it can vary quite a lot.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, CEO, for that answer. And so that would be fair then, that it's based on how the value of general, or is that a market rate that sets that value from one year to the next of the increase? Is my understanding correct that it's the value of general, the green slip, as I would know it?
Truth to me, the Office of the Value General does the valuations, both capital and AAV, capital value and AAV. There's a full revaluation roughly every 6 years, and then they apply adjustment factors on average every 2 years. but again, we don't go, the rate modelling doesn't go to every single individual property and only extract the 3.9%. It sets the upper limit, and then it works out from that what is required, and as those values change based on what the value of general issues, that can obviously generate some increases, some decreases, or staying the same from one year to the next.
Sure.
It's very variable across different types of properties.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on the table? No?
Councillor Reid, would you like to close?
I don't think I have anything further to say. Make a motion and support it. Thank you.
All those in favour of the recommendation that in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act 1993 and the Fire Services Act 1979, Council adopt the following 26-27 rates and charges resolution for rateable land within the Council's municipal area for the period 1st of July 2026 to 30th of June 2027. Please unanimous. Unanimous, thank you very much. Page 73. Item 6.3. The 2026 and 2027 rates and charges policy. Recommendation that Council resolve in accordance with section 86B of the Local Government Act 1993 to adopt the amended rates and charges policy. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Reynolds. Seconder. Deputy Mayor Larkin. Councillor Reynolds, would you like to open?
No, I'm right, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Larkin.
I think I recommend support the recommendation.
Okay. Open the floor. All happy? Yeah. Okay, let's vote on the recommendation that Council resolve in accordance with section 86B of the Local Government Act 1993 to adopt and amend the rates and charges policy. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you very much. And brings us to the end of the meeting, I believe. In which case I will close tonight's meeting at